Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, guys. My name is Zaman. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. As you can tell, my throat is a bit messed up, and inshallah, it's getting better. Make dua Allah gives me full shifa. All right. So, first of all, let's try and crack on the one. This lesson is going to be a bit long. I do apologize. So, luqta. Okay. So, luqta is a lost property. Right, so luqta is a lost property. So previously we talked about laqit, which was lost items, right? So a lost person. Yeah. So this is lost property. Right. So laqit is an absconded, lost. So luqta, amana is a trust. Multaqit is the finder. Sahibuha, ashara is 10. Arrafa means to identify, and sa'idan is above, 10 or above. To saddaqa, amda is to pass it, right? To pass, to allow it to go through. Iltiqat is finding something, picking something up. And then shat, goat, cow, ba'ir, camel. Anfaqa, spend. Multaqid, the finder. And then you got dain, which is a debt. Hakim is the leader. Bahima is cattle. Ujra is fee. Manfa'a is benefit. Tastaghrik is to encompass. Aslah, which is more beneficial. Okay, Malik Hadara is to become present. Lil Multaqit, Multaqit, obviously we've done that before. Luqta is the lost and found property. Yuqim is to establish, is to find, establish, proof, bayyina. And then alama is any sign. Multaqit is the finder. Okay, Multaqit there as well. Yantafi, to benefit. I love these words again. How come for Ghani is rich, Fuqara are the poor. Now I decided to do all of this together because it's kind of connected. I don't want to break it up. All right, so let's look at the tarkeeb of this then. So babu al-luqtati. Now the pen is a bit thick today for some reason. So babu al-luqtati. So al-luqtatu amanatun mubtada khabar. أشهد الملتقط يأخذها ليحفظها ويرد على صاحبها جار مجرور. فإن كانت اسم كانت أقل من 10 دراهم غير منصرف. عرفها في الفاعل أياما is the مفعول فيه. كانت وإن كانت 10 فصاعدا. This is going to be the, let me know in the comments why this is mansub. حولا, this is a year. جاء صاحبها في الفاعل. وإلا تصدق يتصدق. صاحبها في الفاعل. بالخيار إن شاء أمضى فاعل الصدقة مفعول به. ضمن to make responsible. الملتقطة. يجوز الالتقاط في الشاة بقرة بعير. أنفق الملتقط في الفاعل بغير إذن الحاكم. تبرع يتبرع. متبرع is someone who doing something voluntarily. كان ذلك دينا على مالكها. Okay. إذا رفع ذلك إلى الحاكم نظر. Bit too excited there. نظر. فإن كان البهيمة منفعة أجرها وأنفق عليها من أجرتها. وإن لم يكن لها منفعة, this is the ism of يكن, خاف أن تستغرق النفقة قيمتها. So فاعل مفعول به. باعها وأمره بحفظ ثمنها. وإن كان أصلح اسم كان. أن إنفاق خبر كان. آذينا له في ذلك وجعل نفقة دينا مفعول به. الثاني second مفعول به. على مالكها. فإذا حضر فعل مالكها فاعل ملتقط أن يمنعه منها حتى يأخذ النفقة مفعول به. a new sentence. ولقطة الحل والحرم سواء. وإذا حضر الرجل في الفاعل فادعى أن اللقطة له لم تدفع حتى يقيم. let me know why it's يقيم البينة. فإن أعطى علامتها حل to become حلال للملتقط and this is the فاعل أن يدفع إليه. ولا يجبر على ذلك. okay, to be forced. جبر أجبر يجبر to be forced. في القضاء ويتصدق باللقطة على غني. وإن كان الملتقط غنيا لم يجز له أن ينتفع بها. وإن كان فقيرا فلا بأس أن ينتفع بها ويجوز أن يتصدق بها إذا كان غنيا على أبيه وابنه وزوجته إذا كانوا فقراء. والله مبتدأ أعلم خبر. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So now we want to look at this whole discussion. ماذا يقول؟ هل أتحدث معكم باللغة العربية أم بالإنجليزية؟ Okay, now let's have a go. So this is the chapter of luqta. Previously we talked about the laqit. Now we're talking about the luqta, lost and found property, right? So if, for example, let's say there's a person and this person is walking down the road and he spots, let's say, a watch. Okay, so this is a watch. Spots a watch down the road. Now what's going to happen here? So this item is called a luqta. Right, so it's a luqta. And as soon as this guy goes and picks it up, it now becomes what we call an amana. It's a trust, amanatun. So what this guy should do, he should make other people witness. So he makes other people witness what around there. Right, so he says to them, everybody, I am picking this up for safekeeping. Okay, I am picking this up for safekeeping. So let's have a look at this. So Babu al-Luqta, chapter of Luqta, of lost property. Al-Luqtatu is amanatun, like we said. إذا أشهد الملتقط, when the multaqit, this guy, he makes witness, other people witness. So the maful bihi of ashhada is hidden, which we would assume it's going to be people. أنه يأخذها, that he is going to take this watch. ليحفظها ويردها, to protect it and to return it على صاحبها, upon its owner. Right, now this item, what does the value of the item matter? Yes, the value of the item matter. So let's say, for example, this watch is 10, it's worth 10 dirhams, 10 silver coins. So if it's worth 10 silver coins, if it's worth less than 10 silver coins, let's do less. Okay, so let's put minus. I think minus would be nice, yes? Minus 10 silver coins, less than 10 silver coins. Then it has a specific ruling. And if it is 10 or more, so let's put or more. If it's 10 or more, then it has another ruling. So what is the ruling then? So he says, إن كانت أقل من 10 دراهم, if its value is less than 10 dirhams, عرفها أياما, he has to go around announcing it to people. Like maybe put some posters up or maybe send a message out on WhatsApp groups or on social media, right? So he announces it for several days, maybe like 5 days, 6 days. Now, what if it's more than 10 or more? In كانت 10, if it's worth 10 فصاعدا or more, عرفها حولا, he has to announce it for 1 year. Yeah, so let's write this down so that you guys remember it. So if it's days and 1 year. Right, so that's how much he's going to announce. Because if it's cheap, then it doesn't really matter. I mean, not a lot of people are not really going to be too worried about the item. But if it's expensive, then people are going to be worried about it and they would be willing to search for it for a longer period of time. Okay? All right, next. Let's move on then. Now, after this happens, what happens? If the guy comes, the owner comes, so let's say this is the true owner, and he comes to pick it up. Khalas, it's done. Yeah, gives it to him. End of story. Story finished. But what if the guy doesn't come? What is he going to do? What's this Mr. Multaqit going to do with the watch? So what he's going to do is going to give it in charity. So otherwise, let's put an O here. He's going to give it to charity. They'll give it to the poor, basically. All right, so فَإِنْ جَاءَ صَاحِبُهَا, if its sahib, its owner comes, then hidden here it's فَبِهَا, then he gets it. فَإِنْ جَاءَ, if the owner comes, then good, he gets it. That's hidden. وَإِلَّا, otherwise, تَصَدَّقَ بِهَا, he must give it in charity. Now, فَإِنْ جَاءَ صَاحِبُهَا, if the owner comes, فَهُوَ بِالْخِيَارِ. Now, what if after giving charity, the owner turns up? Because this can happen. You've given it in charity now. So let's say, for example, the duration's happened. After the charity, the owner comes and says, hey, you advertised that there was a watch lost. Where is it? So this is the true owner now. What are you going to do? Are you going to say to him, sorry, my friend, but unfortunately the watch has gone? No. So now the owner has an option. In sha'a amdha, so fahuwa bil khiyar, if he wishes, the owner, amda as-sadaqah, he can say, okay, you gave in sadaqah, fine. Wa in sha'a, and if he wills, dhammana al-multaqit, he can actually make the multaqit pay for it. Because it was amana, and he's given it to someone. So he technically now is responsible for it. Does that make sense? All right, let's move on then. Next. Now, can you do the same process when it comes to animals, lost and found animals? Is there a process? So you have goats. Now, am I good at drawing goats or am I not good at drawing goats? You guys decide. Okay, that's a goat. And let's say a cow. Okay, that's camel. Now, camel. I'm not going to be able to do the camel properly. Okay, did I get that? Is it done? Am I wrong? So if it's a goat, right? So if it's a goat, you can do luqta, you can pick it up, yeah. Cow, camel lost, just someone's random cow lost property. Now what's going to happen? This guy, how is he going to take care of this? So there's two ways that he could take care of this. So let me just bring this up a bit. Number one, he can either do this with the permission of the government, the judge. The judge says, okay, pay for it, and then we'll reimburse you. Or he can do it voluntarily. Okay, voluntarily. If he does it voluntarily, all the money that he spends on them, he can't get reimbursed. He's not going to get reimbursed. But if he goes to the judge, all the money, he's going to get all the money back, whatever he spent on it. Okay, so he says, وَيَجُوزُ, it's permissible to pick up في الشاة, do iltiqat in shat and baqarah and cows and camels. فَإِنْ أَنْفَقَ الْمُلْتَقِط, if the multaqit was to spend on these animals, عليها بغير إذن الحاكم, voluntarily, without the consent of the authority, فهو متبرع, he'll be counted as being a volunteer. وَإِنْ أَنْفَقَ بِأَمْرِهِ, and if he did it with the instruction of the judge, كَانَ ذَلِكَ دَيْنًا, that will be counted now as a debt, على مالكها, upon the owner when he comes. Right, so the government will say, okay, you pay for it, and we'll get it off the guy, and we'll pay you back. So it's going to be upon the owner to pay for this. He's going to have to reimburse him when he comes back. Okay, now, next. Now, let's say, for example, like the animals have been brought to the judge. Okay, I like these animals too much. So, okay, what I will do is I will copy and paste these. All right, so let's say, for example, let's say, for instance, this matter now, some animals have been found. All right, so this guy has found some animals. He takes it to the judge, and the judge says, right, are you able to pay for it? And I look, I can't afford. So what the judge is going to do then is the judge will then look, is there any benefit in these animals? As in, do they have the ability to provide some sort of income? So the animals, so this is either step number one. So step number one is trying to make an income from these animals. Give the animals out on rent, bring in income, and then use that income to pay for the animals until the owner comes. Second option, if there is no benefit in the animals, then what you do is you sell the animals and then keep the money. So this guy was going to keep the money until the owner comes. All right. So وَإِذَا رُفِعَ ذَلِكَ إِلَى الْحَاكِمِ, if this has been raised by this finder to the judge, نظر فيه, the judge will look into it. فإن كان للبهيمة, if in the animals there is منفعة, benefit, أجرها, he's going to rent out the animals. وأنفق عليها, and the judge will spend on the animals من أجرتها, from the income. وإن كان لم يكن لها منفعة, and there's no منفعة for them, no benefit. وخاف, and his fears أن تستغرق, that the expenditure on the animals is going to be too much. Right, so the amount they have to spend is going to be too much. How much is too much? It's going to be more than the value of the animal. So let's say, for example, the value of the goat is £100, and the expenditure of the animal is starting to it's going to come up to over £100. Or the cow, let's say, is £500. Or the camel, let's say, is £800. Right? So if the amount that's going to be spent on them is going to be very high, then in that case, no. Then we might as well sell them, and keep that money safe. Yeah. So وَخَافَ أَن تَسْتَغْرِقَ النَّفَقَةَ, the nafaqah expenditure will encompass the value of the animal. باعها, he sells it. وَأَمَرَهُ, and he will instruct this guy, the multaqit, بِحِفْظِ ثَمْنِهَا, to safeguard the money. Right? So £100 or £500 or £800. However, if it is more beneficial to spend on them rather than to sell, because the value of them might be very less, and it might be more beneficial to spend on them because then the owner will be happy. So in kana al-aslahu al-infaq, if the more beneficial, more, as you can say, what would be better translate aslah? Let me know in the comments below. Or how would you translate aslah? I would translate it as what is more beneficial, what is more better. And if it's what's more better is spending alayha upon them, adhina, the judge will permit for him ذلك, وجعل النفقة, and the expenditure will be made a debt على مالكها, just like we said earlier on. فإذا حضر, so now when the true Malik he comes to pick them up, فللملتقط, and the multaqit, he has the right and يمنعه, to stop him taking them منها حتى, until يأخذ النفقة, get all the money back. Right. So let's say, for example, this is the guy. Right. The guy now has to pay him, and then he gets his animals. All right. Makes sense? Khalas. All right. That was quite a long masala, but alhamdulillah, it's covered quite a lot of what we have to talk about. So hopefully we can focus on the rest now. Now, is there a difference between, so this is what we call haram. Okay. Haram is the area. So this is, for example, let's say where Makkah is. Yeah, and this is the haram area. Haram area is a massive area, right? It's several miles from one side to the other, several miles. This is known as the haram. And anything outside of this area is called the hill. Yeah, so everything outside of it, right? So there, it's called the hill. Right? It has a name called hill. Now, is there a difference between finding an animal in the haram and finding an animal in the hill outside the haram? So he says, no, it's all the same, right? The rulings are exactly the same. There's no special ruling regarding the haram. وَلُقْطَةُ الْحِلِّ, and the lost property of the hill and the haram are equal. Okay, now, next issue. So this is now a bit of a disagreement, argument that takes place. Let's make this a bit bigger. All right, so an argument takes place. So what is the argument? So let's say, for instance, this guy that we talked about earlier on over here. Let's say, for example, this guy, he comes and he says, this animal is mine. So now the multaqit, he doesn't have to give it to him until he provides proof. He can say to him, give me some proof that the animal is yours. Give me like a marking on the animal or anything that can prove that this animal is yours. Like if it's got a special color on it or I don't know, whatever scars, provide that. If he provides the proof, then the other guy can give it to him. Because remember, there might be a false claim made about these animals. So you have to be careful. Now, even if he provides proof, it still is not necessary upon the multaqit to actually to give it to him. All right, because it's out of court. Once it goes to court, then it's a different matter. So if this guy directly goes to the judge, then the multaqit will be forced to give it. All right, now this is obviously after all the payments and everything have been made. So okay, so he says, إذا حضر الرجل, when the man, the owner turns up, فدعا أن اللقطة, and he makes a claim that the luqta belongs to him. لم تدفع, it will not be handed over إليه, to him, meaning the animals will not be handed over to him, حتى, until he, the owner, يقيم, establishes proof that the animals are his. فإن أعطى, all right, proof. So once he provides proof, the animal's his. فإن أعطى علامتها, if he simply just gives a marking, so if he provides proof and he brings like documents and things, then he gets it. But if he only provides a marking, a sign, it's permissible for the multaqit للملتقط أن يدفعها إليه. However, ولا يجبر على ذلك, he will not be forced to, because just giving a marking is not enough. But court proof, like we said, يقيم البين, it goes to court and he provides the proof, then he, like we said over there, he wins the case over there. So let me just make this a bit bigger. So over there we said, this is where he wins the case. Yeah, if he provides proof and court. But if he just provides a marking or a sign, that's not court proof, right? So therefore, he is not considered to be obliged to hand it over to him. All right, next. What do you guys think? Do you guys enjoy this chapter? Or you guys want to quickly just get through and get to the main juicy chapters? Okay, so my mistake. ولا يجبر على ذلك في القضاء. So in courts, he won't be forced to give it. All right. Next masala. Right, the next masala is, who do you give this as charity to? So remember earlier on we said, if the guy doesn't turn up, he's going to give it in charity. Yeah, he's going to give it in charity. So who is he going to give this to in charity? So the rule basically is he can give it to anyone who is poor, basically. Right? Even if he's poor, he can take it. But anyone who is poor. So the recipients are the poor people. Right, so this is supposed to be poor people. They are the ones that get it. Now, it doesn't follow the rules of zakat, so you can give it to anyone that you want who is poor. So, وَلَا يَتَّصَدَّقْ, the multaqit cannot give sadaqah bil-luqta ala ghaniyin, upon a rich person. وَإِنْ كَانَ الْمُلْتَقِطْ غَنِيًّا, and if the multaqit himself is rich, لَمْ يَجُوز, it's not permissible for him, أن ينتفع, to gain any benefit from the animal. وَإِنْ كَانَ فَقِيرًا, but if he's poor, فَلَا بَأْسَ, then it's wrong. أن ينتفع, to take benefit from the animal. And وَيَجُوزُ أن يتصدق, is permissible to give it as sadaqah إذا كان غنيًا, if the multaqit himself is rich, على أبيه, to his father, if his father is poor, وابنه, if his son is poor, وزوجته, and his wife is poor, إذا كانوا فقراء, when they are poor, and Allah knows best. So as long as all of these people are poor, it can be given to them. All right. So the kids are going to be obviously children who are adults and over the age of puberty. And that's it basically. So the main recipients are the poor people. All right. So let's have a look at this then. So what did we cover today? So today we covered lost and found property. So in this masala, what is the ruling of lost and found property? It is amana. What should he do if he finds property? He should make people witnesses that he's going to safeguard it. What's the different types of lost property? Two types. Less than 10 dirham value or 10 or more dirham. If it's less than 10 dirham, how many days does he have to announce it? For a few days. And if it's more than 10 or more, then he has to up to a year. Okay, what happens when the owner comes? He should give it to him. What if the owner does not come? He gives it in charity. What if he's given it in charity and then the owner turns up? Well, then either the owner can say, fine, the charity is done, or he can get the multaqit, the finder, to pay for it. Are you allowed to do iltiqat in animals? Yes, you can do iltiqat animals, goats, cows, sheep. And how do you spend on them? So the rule basically is either you spend voluntarily, which you can't get reimbursed, or you go through the judge, in which case you can. Now, what if spending on them turns out to be too difficult, it's too expensive, more than the value of the animal? In that case, the judge will sell them. And if they're not too expensive, the judge will hire them out. Whatever money is made from these animals, like plowing land and doing other things, then that will be spent on the animals. What if the true owner comes now and he wants the animal? So then he's going to give the money that's been spent by the multaqit and take the animals. He provides proof, goes to the court, and he wins the case. What if he does not have proof, but he knows markings on the animals? In that case, the multaqit can give him the animals, but they're not necessary to give. Who is he allowed to give the animals to if the owner doesn't come? To the poor, any poor. All right, let's have a look at some questions then. What is the condition that makes picking up lost property treated as an amana? What's the condition? Put in the comments. How long must property less than 10 dirhams be announced? How long must property worth 10 dirhams or more be announced? If the owner appears after the property has been given in charity, what choices does he have? When does spending on a lost animal become a debt on the owner? When is it permissible to sell the animal? What is required before giving the lost property to someone who claims it's his? And finally, what is the ruling regarding the finder benefiting from the lost item if he is wealthy versus if he's poor? Put them in the comments, inshallah. Let me know. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for watching this video, guys. It really means a lot to me that you support my channel. Share the videos. If you want to become a patron, it means a lot. Monthly basis, you're going to be supporting my channel. Sadaqah Jariyah. And the sign is there. You can click on that and find out more details. I'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.